All right, the NBA schedule has been released. Let's go over each game for the Utah Jazz. How many wins will they get? Who are they going to lose? Let's just go over it together. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, especially if you're an NBA fan or a Jazz fan. Do it right now. All right, guys, so the NBA schedule released yesterday. Sorry, I wanted to do this video yesterday, but it was not in the cards, so we are doing it today. And guess what? We're going to do split screen here. What I want to do is go through each game, and we're just going to pick if the Jazz win or if they lose, and we're going to go each item. And then at the end here, we'll have a win and a loss column. So let's just get started. Game 1 versus the Los Angeles Clippers on October 22nd. This is a home game. This is going against a very good Clippers team. There are no real injuries of note that we know of at this point. So that means that we are going to look at a Clippers team that's ready to go, and the Utah Jazz will be extremely young. Yes, it's a home game. I don't know if that makes anything smoother. This is a loss. So just going to put that there. Sorry. And this may be a lot of losses, guys. The over-under from DraftKings, I think, is about 18. So we'll see. All right, next game. They go 2 days later, October 24th, against the Sacramento Kings. This is a Sacramento Kings team that is, I guess they got one more year under their belt. Utah actually matches up pretty well with this Sacramento team, but it is the home game for the Kings. They are, I would give them an edge over the Utah Jazz and how good they are. Sorry, this is a loss. Why don't we just do a loss? Every single one. Anyways, let's move on. All right, so Utah then goes back home, has a game against Phoenix. This is 3 days later on rest against a Phoenix team that, you know, I don't know how good this Phoenix team is going to be. It's Devin Booker and you know, Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets, and I think Dylan Brooks is on that team as well. You know, I really love Malawach, but I don't think he's going to be producing quite as well. Utah's going to have a surprise win here or there. And you know what? Let's do it. Let's give the Jazz a win here. Just a prediction. They're going to win one. And I think they might win that one. Next, they play against the Portland Trail Blazers, who I think are actually going to be pretty good this year. I mean, they're bringing in Drew Holiday. Obviously, they brought in Damian Lillard, but he is not going to play. But they do have a very good defense. I think the Portland Trail Blazers are going to be interesting this year in that they're just going to be a good defensive team. And I believe Scoot was getting better last year, and I actually think they were better with him leading the team than they were with Anthony Simons. It's why Simons didn't get a lot of Okay, there we go. I don't know how far that long that was that we cut out. Here we go. All right, we're back. So, Wednesday, October 29th versus Portland. I think the Portland Trail Blazers are good. I think they win this game. Then they play Phoenix again, but this is in Phoenix against a Phoenix team that I don't know how good they're going to be. But this is at home against Phoenix. You know, I don't think they're going to be a very good road team this year. Utah is going to lose a lot of games on the road. The games Utah is going to win this year, likely going to be at home. It's why I don't see them beating Sacramento, and it's why I don't see them winning this one. I think Phoenix is a bad defense, and those are the other teams that Utah is going to have a shot against, is the bad defensive teams. Utah's defense is not going to be, I mean, it may be surprising this year. I don't think it's going to be that much better. Although, you know, there is a world where Ace Bailey is just awesome defensively, and we saw some signs of that. And you combine that with Walker Kessler, it's going to be better than maybe worse than the NBA, but probably still bottom 5. That's a loss against Phoenix. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. Charlotte. So they play Friday night at Phoenix. They will then go across country to Charlotte, play an early game on Sunday. That's almost as if you're playing a back-to-back. And I think Charlotte at this point is going to be trying. Utah is going to struggle. I think this is a loss because I think Charlotte's going to be pretty good. Brandon Miller's going to be back. They're likely going to have LaMelo Ball playing. You know, I don't know how good. Miles Bridges is a good player. Con Knippel, I think, is going to be a player that can contribute right away. I think the Charlotte Hornets might be a little bit better. They'll be better than last year, for sure. And I think they're going to be better than the Jazz, at least in Charlotte. Next is at Boston. This is an easy one. Boston, I know they don't have Jason Tatum. They're still trying to win, and they're still a good team. This is on the road. This is a long road trip. This is going to be a brutal road trip. Detroit, also, this is near the end. Man, this is a brutal road trip. This is a loss for the Jazz there. And then they go to Minnesota to end the road trip. We might as well not even... This is not even close. That's a loss as well. Utah is going to start this season, if this is correct, 1-9. Is my sum? I create 1-8. Okay. Yeah, and I might be a little bit pessimistic, and I might be kind of hoping for this a little bit, but I think Utah's going to be pretty rough. This is going to be a tough season. All right, so Utah comes home. They play Minnesota. They get 3 days off after having played them. I still think Minnesota's just a better team. This is a loss. Indiana, this one's interesting. Although this is a back end of a back. This is a brutal schedule. Guys, one thing I did with this is I made sure I just did not look at this hardly at all. I just let myself do this video like this. And I can't believe they gave... Indiana's a good team, but they're not the same without Tyrese Halliburton. But this is the back end of a back-to-back. It is at home. Man, that is brutal. That is brutal. You know what? I have a feeling they're gonna win one of these. They're not gonna lose every single game. I think that's a game they probably pick up. You know, they've still got good players, but Utah, you know, at this point is probably at least getting more familiar with each other. You know, maybe we start seeing some Ace Bailey improvement. Walter Clayton Jr. probably at this point has his feet wet and can figure things out. So there you go. All right. Next, 2 days later, versus Atlanta, who I think is going to be a pretty good team. Utah has played Atlanta pretty well. You know what? I'm going to give them this win. They are going to take against the Atlanta Hawks. And so all of a sudden, are we freaking out over a winning streak? Probably. You know I will. But we'll be watching the standings as well. But at this point, Utah is 3-9. That's probably the pace you probably expect. All right, so Chicago next. So they've got these long homestands and long road trips. Not a lot of in between, at least yet. Chicago, I think, is going to be a pretty solid... They're a 500 basketball team, is what Chicago is. I don't know if Chicago plays well against Utah, but I just don't see Utah winning 3 games in a row at any point this season. So we're going to just go there. Los Angeles. Okay, so this is the Lakers. First time against LeBron, Luka, and this Los Angeles Lakers team. This is in LA. Utah... pretty historically just does not great when they travel to LA. It's basically vacation time. This is a loss. I just don't see that being any other way. All right, Oklahoma City, we don't have to say a lot. That is a loss. And then back to, let's see, so this is home loss to OKC. They then get to play the Clippers again at home. I think this Clippers team is going to be pretty good. It's the return of John Collins. Actually, we didn't mention that. John Collins. I think this... this is the Lakers at home. Sorry. LA is the Clippers on this list. Los Angeles is the Lakers. This is, again, Luka Doncic and the Lakers. And what's funny is that the Jazz beat the Luka Doncic like multiple times last year. It was like one of the players they did well against, which was weird. But I think Luka is in pretty decent shape. You know what? I think we're going to get a win here. I think the Jazz, I just think that LeBron rests in Utah. And at this point in the season, has Luka eaten enough donuts that he's gotten to where he usually goes, which is a heavyweight status? And I think that's what's going to happen. All right, so Utah then goes on the road. I don't think Utah's going to be good on the road. I think Golden State is still a good team that can score. And if Draymond plays, he's likely going to play if they're in Golden State. Defensively, that's going to be tough for Utah. I think that's a win for the Warriors, a loss for the Jazz. Utah comes home and plays Sacramento. I think they win this game. I think on the road against Sacramento is tough. But this is where I think Utah will get their wins, is I think they will be at home. I have a hard time seeing Utah win a lot of road games. They had a bad road record last year, extremely bad. And their home record was a lot of their wins came at home. So this is going to be the trend this year as well. All right, so this is Houston. One of the things that's tough for these young teams is when you're playing against good defenses. And I think Houston's defense is just awesome. And I think Utah's going to struggle. I just don't see them winning either of these games. And I know they're at home, but that is tough. You're playing against an elite Houston defense. And Vernon Maxwell's going to tweet something not very nice. By the way, Houston Rockets social team, their release video for their season is truly horrific. Truly ruining lives, destroying dreams. Go watch it. Or, you know, if you don't like horror films, whew, that was a rough one, man. It is brutal. I'm not going to say anything about it, but when you go watch it, you'll know what I'm saying right away. You will hate your life a little bit more after watching it. All right, so Utah goes on the road. They play against the also tanking Brooklyn Nets. It's Yegor Demon versus Ace Bailey. The Brooklyn Nets don't get the pick that the Jazz did. They wanted Ace Bailey. Utah got him. Ace Bailey, this is going to be a road win because Ace Bailey's going to make those Brooklyn Nets. By the way, Utah, the most mad I got last year was during Utah's wins against the Brooklyn Nets. They're going to piss me off again. So they're going to get that win. But then they are losing to the Knicks. There is no shot in winning that game. But you never know. But anyways, I'm giving them a road win against the Brooklyn Nets. I think Utah is going to be fun this year. Even though they're going to lose games, I think Utah is going to be the fun bad team, right? Ace Bailey is going to be fascinating to watch, and I just want him to have like a breakout game in Brooklyn. Wouldn't it be fun if he had a big-time game against the Knicks? That would be fun. All right, let's see here. Oklahoma City at home, I don't care. That's a loss. Los Angeles Lakers. I've given the Jazz a win against LA. I don't think they're winning any season series with any of these teams that are going to be playoff teams. Nope, not a win. That's a loss. Orlando Magic, elite defensive team. I think this is this the first time we play Orlando? This is a loss against the Orlando Magic. They are just so good defensively. It's going to be tough. Man, look at this. This is a brutal stretch, actually. Look at this. They play a string of Knicks, Thunder, Lakers, Magic, Nuggets. That's a loss. Memphis is a team. You know what? I think Utah wins this against Memphis. I think Memphis is a little bit paper tiger, and there's a few teams Utah is going to get some wins against that, it's not just going to be against the Wizards and the Nets this year. They're going to win a couple games, and they'll lose a couple games that'll be surprising too against, they'll lose to the Wizards at least once. They did last year. Detroit, I just have a lot of respect for Detroit. I think their defense is legit. I think they're going to be good. Loss for the Jazz. December 27th, this is a back end of a back-to-back at San Antonio. I think San Antonio is really trying to win. That's why they gave Fox the contract they did. They're a good team. They're going to beat the Utah Jazz. Versus Boston at home, I could see it being close, but I just don't see a win. That's let's see where we are record-wise here, by the way. 7-23. This is about the pace I expect. Not going to beat Boston. The Clippers at LA. That's a loss. They're in LA on the road against a good Clippers team. I think the Clippers are honestly about as underrated as it gets. Golden State, again, I just don't see them winning in Golden State. Portland, even though I think Portland is a gettable game, I don't think it's going to happen. That's a loss. And then at Oklahoma City, that's immediate loss. Okay, so here's a game that I think is interesting. The Dallas Mavericks. I think Utah can get this. I think they're going to be surprising. They're not going to lose every single game. And I do think at a home game against a Dallas Mavericks team that still doesn't have Kyrie Irving, I don't know if Anthony Davis is going to stay healthy all year. And then you've got Cooper Flagg, who Cooper Flagg is going to be awesome, but he's a rookie and he's going to be figuring things out. And maybe he's just incredible right away, but I do think that there's going to be times where he struggles. And maybe it's that Utah elevation. By the way, this is going to be a fun one. I can't wait to watch this season, guys. I cannot wait to watch the Jazz and just all these new players, Cooper Flagg, and what is it, Dylan Harper with the Spurs, and obviously our own guys, Cooper Flagg. So cannot wait. And let me make sure the chat is working. Sometimes it screws up. Ace Rookie of the Year statement game would be actually, that's a great point, Blake. Like, wouldn't that be cool if Ace just has an incredible game? That would be fun. All right, so versus Charlotte, I think Utah goes on a win streak here, 2-game win streak, that is, and beats the Charlotte Hornets. That's a home game against the Hornets. That's basically the type of game I would expect Utah to win or at least be close in. You know, obviously they could lose it. Maybe Utah's truly horrific this year, but I just think that Ace Bailey's a better defender than people think. At least he's physically that gifted that he can make plays. And when you're 6'9" and you move as well as he did in Summer League on the defensive end, and you just have effort, that counts for a lot to me. Obviously, there's going to be time. He's going to have to learn defensive schemes and learn where to be and all the different nuances and things like that. But I do think that he understands. I mean, I was really impressed with him coming over screens on the pick and roll at Summer League. We've got 2 Summer League games of sample size, so it's basically nothing. But I was surprised how well he moved. And he looked athletic and he looked fast. So we'll see. All right, Cleveland, there's no way they win that game. You know, miracles do happen, but not in Cleveland. Not for the Jazz in that one. Chicago, this is a tough one. That's a loss. Dallas gets their revenge at Dallas, but then you know what? Next game, Friday, you know, I'm just wondering if they're injured. I'm kind of feeling like Anthony Davis is going to be hurt, and they're not as deep as you think. They run out of gas pretty quickly. All right, at San Antonio, I think San Antonio is going to be good this year. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they have good pieces. They have just Wembanyama, who I think is going to be a defensive player of the year guy. And who knows, if he takes a step, they become extremely good. Versus Minnesota, I just don't see Utah with their young team doing well against a good defense like that. Versus San Antonio, this is the 3rd game. They probably rest Wemby at some point. So let's give a win there. Versus Miami, I don't like Miami. I just don't see him winning 2 in a row against those 2 teams. Both of those are kind of middle-of-the-road teams. I don't think they're going to win 2 in a row. Versus the Clippers, I just have the Jazz getting swept by the Clippers, I guess. I just don't see the Jazz beating that team. They're pretty deep. They play pretty well. And, you know, we don't have Kawhi hurt right now. I mean, he may not play in Utah, but he did when I went and saw him last year. So we'll see. Versus Golden State, this pace too. I just think this is the pace Utah's going to be on. That's a loss. Versus Brooklyn, though, I think they get another win. Brooklyn out-tanked Utah last year in head-to-heads, but Utah out-tanked them in non-face-to-face matchups. So we'll see what happens. And by this time, you know, when is the NBA trade deadline? Let's look this up. 2025. February 6th. So we're right around trade deadline. We're going to get some trade rumors here. Utah is going to rest players. It's just what happens. Like, if they're looking at trades for Markkanen or Kessler or anyone, it doesn't matter. One of the young guys, maybe, who knows? Keontae George is on the trade. I don't know. If someone gives them a big offer, it's going to be around here, and they're going to try to figure that trade out. So I think this is the point where you see Utah start to rest some guys a little bit. All right, so at Toronto, on the road in Toronto, Toronto has good players. They're not a great team. They're just they have like pretty good players. So that makes them a pretty good team, and they win. At Indiana, I think I had the Jazz beating Indiana before. I think Utah loses this one. Yeah, we had a rough start to this season. At Atlanta, I think Atlanta's good, and they're at home, so they're going to lose that. And then at Orlando with their defense, I just don't see it. That's a loss. At Miami, we've got a 5-game losing streak, also a loss. Versus Sacramento at home. Did I have them beating Sacramento? I did. I think Kessler plays well against Sabonis. It's Kessler. I mean, unless Kessler gets traded, which I don't really think, but maybe. But if Kessler's on the team, he does well against Sabonis. And at this point, I think Utah will have some players that know what they're doing, and maybe we have that nice stretch. So that's a win. Versus Portland, I don't think Portland's going to be resting players, so that's a loss for Utah. That's a good defensive team, guys. Don't think of Portland the same way as before. They were playing well to end the year last year. They had some really good stretches. I think Portland's going to be pretty decent. At Memphis, Utah beats Memphis already once this year. I don't think it's going to be twice. I just don't see Utah beating Houston. That defense is too good. I mean, obviously this can change with injuries, but I just don't see it. All right, versus New Orleans, 2 in a row. I think Utah's going to beat them once. I don't think New Orleans is going to be that great. I can't believe how dumb their management was again. Joe Dumars strikes again. But I think it's a 1-1. I think New Orleans wins one of those. Utah wins the other. Denver is too good. I know Kessler. Actually, the numbers with Kessler guarding Jokic are actually pretty good compared to the other centers in the league. It's actually pretty surprising. But it's still Jokic, and it's still a very good Denver team. They're going to beat Utah. At Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia is trying to be good this year. It's why they drafted who they did. I think VJ Edgecombe has a chance to be really, really nice. We saw it in Summer League. He was great. Utah doesn't win that. At Washington, let's see what our pace is here. 14-46. The over-under for Utah is 18, and I just have a hard time. I think this is one of the last. This is going to be I know there's going to play to win. But I think they lose this. I think Utah has a few players with a cold. At Milwaukee, Giannis is great. They're a little bit better than they were last year, but not much. I don't think they beat Golden State, and I don't think they beat the Knicks. At Portland, they don't win that one either. Oof, we've got a losing streak going here. If they don't beat this Washington team, they are going to have a big losing streak to end the year. At Sacramento, that's a loss. At Minnesota, that's a loss. Versus Milwaukee, that's a loss. Yikes. Versus Philadelphia. Let's give the Jazz a win here. I think that Embiid does not play all these games. I think Utah will play pretty well. And I probably am underselling Utah a little bit. I could see the Jazz winning about 20 games. So I'm versus Toronto. Let's say the Jazz go on a 2-game win streak here. Why not? Oh my gosh. Is this part where I go crazy to end the year? You know what? I just don't see them winning 3 in a row. I just don't. So let's just do this. Let's say they go on a 2-game win streak at home versus Toronto and Washington. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. And then you go to Denver. There's no way. At Phoenix is possible, but I think Utah at this point is going to start maybe resting a few guys because we're in March. Versus Cleveland, there's no way they win that one. Versus Denver, I just don't see it. At Houston, that's one of the teams I am least likely, besides like the Thunder, who Utah's not going to beat. I just don't see Utah getting a win there. At New Orleans, they're going to be resting too, and the Jazz found a way in tank-offs to win, so I think that's a win there for Utah. Versus Memphis, they're going to be playing for the playoffs, so that's a loss, and Los Angeles is going to be playing for the lot. And it looks like we end the year at 17-63. Look at that. Utah is predicted by what's it called? DraftKings or whatever the betting sites are online. That's what they said online, that they are about 18. So according to this, what we just went through, Utah ends the season 17-63. Is that right? Is the math right on there? 17 plus 63. 80. Did we miss 2 games? Huh. Well, this is... What the heck? What am I missing here, guys? Am I missing, like... maybe it's the... I don't know. Grab this from ESPN and it's missing. But anyways, that's good enough. It's got this correct. I wonder if that's the NBA Cup or something like that. I'm not totally sure. So 17 or 18 wins is what we end with about 64 losses, or maybe 65. But it seems about 18 wins makes a lot of sense. We just went through this whole thing, and that seems to work. All right, that was fun. I haven't done a live stream in a while. I'm glad I did. Let's give a shout out to the All-Stars. If you're a member, I really appreciate it. And I really, really appreciate the All-Stars. Thank you for being a part of this channel and supporting. I really appreciate it. Let me filter this. Oh, first we got to start the music, though. Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. It's been pretty fun. I've just been doing videos almost every day. Not every day, but most days of the week. And we're just going to keep on doing it. So let's filter this to All-Star. Boom. All right. Guys, we've got a season coming. Oh, is there fillers at the end? That must be it. Yep, NBA Cup. That's what I figured. So 2 games. Utah likely doesn't win, but maybe they win one of the 2. So at most, I think the Jazz win 18 games. All right. That's a little loud. Let's slower this just a tiny bit. All right. Oh, by the way, should we do a tankathon real quick? Why not? I don't really want to do this year, but look who they have as the worst record in the league. Yeah, baby. That means a for sure top 5 pick. If the lottery was today, what would happen? Ah! 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 Not again! Not again! Okay, let's give a shout out to the All-Stars. Let's give a shout out to Ryan Edward Perry, the legend, Christian House Money to Haas, Robert Hall of Fame, Wham, Cam Bam, thank you ma'am, Cam Chin 3, I Believe in Steve, Jazz Exile, see ya, Lex Slater, Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire, Flipping the Script, and Patrick Kubo, the connoisseur. Guys, the season's getting close. It's getting close, guys. I am so excited to watch Ace Bailey. I am so excited to watch these young guys. Bryce Sensabaugh is going to be pretty good. Utah's defense is going to be terrible, but offensively they might be pretty fun. And we'll see. And there's going to be an incredible amount of rumors around this team all season long. You know what, Killer Nation? They might be. We'll see. If they are, then things might get interesting in the trade market. And if not, then they won't. All right, guys, like always, this is super fun. I don't know if we're going to do another live stream, but we'll see. But hopefully you like the daily videos. I will talk to you